Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Wednesday Wisdom on the Educational AD Podcast. We'll be right back with today's Wednesday Wisdom guest, but we want to give a shout out to our sponsors. Now, don't hit that fast forward button. These are all companies that I used as an athletic director. They're great. You should be using them too. So take 3 minutes, listen to our shout outs, and then reach out to these companies. Here we go. We want to say thanks to our good friends at Snap Raise. Have you ever spent weeks and weeks with a fundraiser and ended up with little, if any, return? Stop right here. Go to snapraise.com/EDAD. It's hands down the best online fundraiser out there, and it works. Okay. Our coaches loved it. Our parents loved it. Our finance office loved it. Go to snapraise.com. You can also check out their other platforms like Snap Manage, Snap Store, FanX. There's a whole bunch of them. You'll find it all at snapraise.com. We also want to thank our friends at Home Campus, the official high school and state association management platform. It's also your one-stop platform for things like schedules, athletic eligibility and clearance, helping out parents, coaches, you name it, Home Campus does it. As an AD, I used Home Campus every single day, and it was just great, and you're going to love it too. Go to homecampus.com to get started. We also want to thank our friends at Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com, schedule a live web demo to see their scoreboards and their score tables in action. Their products not only generate income for your athletic department, they also create the ultimate game day experience for your student athletes. That's sidelineinteractive.com. We want to say thanks to our friends at Huddle. Go to huddle.com and change the way you see the game. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but when I became an athletic director, I made sure our school was a Huddle school. And our coaches just loved the tools that Huddle provided that let them coach our kids up to their highest level. Go to huddle.com, join the 8 million users, and turn your school into a Huddle school. We want to say thanks to Vital Signs Wall of Fame. Go to their website, vitalsignswalloffame.com. Check out their interactive touchscreen video consoles. It's a great way to showcase your school record boards, your school's Hall of Fame, or simply share your school's most compelling stories and top student athletes. The website is vitalsignswalloffame.com. Mention the podcast, they'll give you a nice discount. We want to thank Hometown Ticketing. Hometown is the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. And if you go to hometownticketing.com, their team is going to show you how to set up and sell tickets online, not just for athletic events, but things like school plays, concerts, school dances, even graduation. Go to hometownticketing.com. That's hometownticketing.com. We'd like to say thanks to Gipper. Go to Gipper.com. Start creating world-class marketing content for your school's social media channel. It's going to help you celebrate your athletes and promote your teams. It's used and trusted by over 3,000 athletic programs across the country, and it's so easy, even I can do it. Professional graphic design made simple. That's Gipper.com. We also want to say thanks to Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. At my school, we use surveys for just about everything, for kids, for parents, for coaches, for teachers. And the information that came back was typically over the top positive, but it also includes those squeaky wheel parents that want to gripe about everything. Well, athletic surveys will connect you to those squeaky wheels, but it also connects you to the other 98%. And that's a tremendously valuable tool to have when you're talking with a frustrated parent or your principal or your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of your parents and your student athletes. That's athleticsurveys.com. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Wednesday Wisdom on the Educational AD Podcast. We've got one of our longtime contributors, Candice Fabry, with us this week. If you're new to the show, Candice a longtime soccer coach, former soccer player herself at the college level. She's currently the head soccer coach for Ottawa University. That's in the KCAC. Very good level of soccer. Does a lot of other things. She is the founder of an organization called Fearless and Capable. It's a coaching mentoring program for women and girls. And she's been on Wednesday Wisdom now for a number of weeks. It's always a great chat with her. For our listeners, we're recording this on December 12th, so it's going to be very timely when you listen to it. Candice, welcome back. And what do you have for us this week on Wednesday Wisdom?
Well, thanks for having me. I always enjoyed this little time with you and sharing with the listeners. And I've even put on a tad of a holiday colored sweatshirt. Of course, it's a hoodie. I'm still a coach. I mean, at the end of the day, there's always going to be that little nod. But yeah, I mean, we are approaching the end of the year, and there's always a lot to reflect on. And there'll be a lot of goal setting, right? A lot of goal setting conversations will start coming up in the next few weeks. People will start thinking about what's 2024 going to hold, and manifesting things. But I also think in that reflection piece before you get to the goal setting, it is an amazing time to build confidence. And sometimes we forget about setting time aside to maybe really focus on who we are and what we've done and what we've accomplished in 2023. There's some ways you can look back at it, and it's not just a reflection with just a nod. It's really about building your confidence in who you are and what you do and the impact you're having. And so that's what I say is, can we take some time before we get into all the goal setting, take some time to build our own self-confidence in what we've done and who we are. And so I always say, write this down, get a good pen, a pen that's not going to frustrate you. It's got a good amount of ink left in it. So you're not going to be, you're not going to be, on the side trying to get the ink out. Get a fun color if that makes you happy. Get a good piece of paper. If you go buy a journal, do something that makes you go, all right, I am ready to put some good thoughts and good feelings into this, and create a safe space to do that. If it's somewhere at a coffee shop, your favorite coffee shop, with maybe a little fun drink to the side, or it's at home and just, the comfiest chair you have, you want to feel good. So make all those environmental pieces around you make you feel good, because this is really about building that core of you, that confidence that you want to probably have show in 24, and probably lead towards those values of who you are and the goals you're going to want to set. So let's go to that first part of values. I want you to think about your personal values and how you've brought those to life this year. Give yourself a nod, a pat on the back, and think about how you've manifested your personal values. If it's integrity, if it's family, whatever those values are that you hold, how did it come to life? Maybe you spent more time, or maybe if it's not even more time, you just spent time with your family. Maybe you called mom, and that's just where you want to give yourself a nod on it, going, you know what, I did it. We're not thinking about what we need to do more of. We're not thinking about the buts, or it's just more about, I did this and I lived that core value, and here's how I did it in 23. That's an important piece, is when we look at values, is when we hold them, how are we actually manifesting them in our actions, our thoughts, our beliefs? And then the other thing is to think about the organizational values that you are a part of. So it's a team, the school, the organization, they probably have some values. And if you're a part of that group, my hope is you align with them in some sort of way. So how did you bring in those values to what you did in the organization, in the school, for your team, in your role? How did you live those? Give yourself a nod and tie them to something that's very concrete, something that really helps to guide what's going to happen in the future. So giving yourself that ability to build confidence in what kind of core is the core of you, in those values that you have on the personal side and the professional side. Give them a little cheer, give them a little handshake, a little applause to say, I did this. I made it happen in these ways. All right. And then I want you to create the highlight reel. I talk a lot about strengths are things that sometimes we see and others don't. So in ourself, if we think about the highlight reel, the ESPN ticker at the bottom that gives all the things that you did great, I want you to think about that. All right. And again, it doesn't have to be the things people saw. It can be the things you did on your own that nobody has a clue about. Again, don't add the but it could have been better, or but this was the goal. It's not necessarily about the goal that you might have met. It's more about the process. Give yourself, you know what? I started that goal. I did that. I actually set a goal. Maybe that's part of the highlight reel. I set a goal. That could be as simple as that. Or you know what? you might have not reached the goal that you set in 23, but you learned some habits. And so that makes your highlight reel of 23. And really think about what would you like to see in your head over and over again. And it's that ticker at the bottom. And that's what I kind of give, is thinking about that and our strengths. And it really will guide you in thinking about how you maybe want to reach goals in 24 when you think about all the things you've done that makes that ticker, that makes the thing that everyone goes, that's awesome. Yeah, you did that. But remember, no one's going to see this. So it's not a judgment thing. Even if someone else doesn't think it's cool, you think it's cool. You're giving yourself the applause, the pat on the back, and you're saying, this is a part of my 2023 highlight reel. All right. And it really has to be more about the process than the goal. I really am more about the process than outcomes, and thinking about that when you're reflecting on your 2023 highlight reel. All right. And don't forget to leave out the person, or don't leave out. Don't forget to include the personal and professional. It's always important that you're kind of thinking holistically about what you're doing day to day. And then the final thing that I want you to give yourself that confidence in is your identities and the relationships you hold in your identities. So maybe some identities that are repeated, right? I'm still a daughter. I still am a mom. But maybe for some of you, you became a mom. Maybe for some of you, became a spouse or a partner. For maybe some of you became somebody's best friend, a new best friend, right? And maybe you became something else to somebody, or you capture something. You learned how to river raft, and so now you hold the rafter identity, and it's something new that you explored in 23. I want you to think about those identities you hold, and not just the role you hold in your organization. It is one piece of you, but these other parts of you, these other identities that matter, name them. And then I want you to think about the relationships in that. Now, the first relationship, though, you have to think about is yourself. So, what about that identity ties to yourself and has made 2023 great to build that confidence? So, for example, I'm a coach, right? Yes, I had some success on the field, but it's not about the results. I felt as though as a coach, I really put time and effort into making sure I had balance for myself. So maybe I could have watched 30 more minutes of film, but you know what? This year I said, at times, not every day, but at times I said, I'm going to go do this instead, put it with my kids, or I went and worked out for 30 more minutes, or I watched a TV show that I just really wanted to catch up on because I needed that self-care. So the relationship with myself and that identity was important. That's where I start. And then I want you to think about the other identity, or the other relationships, excuse me, in that identity that maybe grew, or maybe just started and you're really excited about. So let's go back to the river rafter. Maybe you found this love for river rafting, and the person that mentored you in that, or guided you or supported, you're just really appreciative of that person coming into your life in 23. Think about all these different identities you hold and the relationships, first with yourself and the others that maybe manifested or grew, or maybe even eliminated, and for the best that they were eliminated in your 2023 year. And those are things to build confidence from, because really it's about giving yourself the nod, the congratulations, the pat on the back, the handshake, the whatever you need, to kind of remember that this confidence is built from the inner work of you, who you are, the values you hold, the things that make you you, the highlights, the authenticity, and then the identities you hold, and kind of the relationships that come out of that. But obviously the relationship with yourself being the most important. So use this time right now to build confidence, give yourself the pat on the back, and then we'll get to the goal setting next. But don't forget to do this part before you get into that, thinking about what could come for 24. So that's my wisdom for right now.
Oh, well, you probably saw me smiling. Just some really great stuff. And, reflection is always valuable, but I love the way you broke it down into different segments. And acknowledging those victories, those small victories, give yourself that high five. And I love your idea about the highlight reel, the ESPN ticker. I was actually at a conference a couple of years ago, and I'm not going down too much of a rabbit hole here. The comedy team, Key and Peele, they used to, I don't know if familiar with them, but
I remember the names. Yes. Yeah.
okay. They would, it was on video on Comedy Central, but they did like a little 3 minute. They were ESPN announcers, but it was geared toward like classroom teachers, like, this English teacher just signed a $5 million contract, and they're
Yeah.
celebrating, teachers, which are coaches.
Yeah.
It was just
Yeah.
so appropriate. But this the person doing the presentation had done that with his entire coaching staff, and
Mm-hmm.
they were getting into it, and it was just a really cool, morale builder,
Yeah.
staff celebration. And
Yeah.
you can do that for yourself. Do your own highlight reel. I love that.
Yeah, just write it down and imagine, if you're maybe tech savvy enough, maybe you have it in your phone where you can do a little highlight reel with your photos and videos of those success moments. I'm probably not, but when you write it down and you kind of see it, then it can really be a confidence booster to what you have accomplished. The other piece I'll add that I wanted to say, and I forgot, then take it to your resume. So whether you're looking or not, I'm not saying go out but it's not a bad idea to go, I'm just going to save this wherever your resumes are so that you remember to kind of brush that up and go, oh man, I did do that. I did accomplish that. And that was something that was, really successful. And I need to remember that that was successful. And this will probably be something that honestly you won't do in one setting. You'll kind of come back and you'll, oh yeah, I need to add that. And I think it's great. That's why I say get the good pen, get the good piece of paper, put it somewhere that you can kind of take that mind to heart to write it out, and you'll remember it a lot more about what you did. But yeah, we talk a lot about goal setting right now at the end of the year, and I'm a lot more like, let's build ourselves up before we get into that task of goal setting that can be wonderful but also daunting in some ways. So let's build ourselves up and then start thinking about all the wonderful things we can do in 24.
Right. And again, you emphasize the writing it down, because there is a connection. It's science, between
Yeah,
thinking, writing, seeing it on the written page, and then reviewing it, so
100%.
important. And the resume thing, that's a way that you could show that you are embracing technology and using technology
A hundred
in
percent.
your classroom. Great advice. See,
Yeah.
Candice, that's why we have you. You always have the great ideas here. Okay.
I try to make it practical. I
Yeah.
think that's the best thing. If somebody tells me something in lofty in the clouds, I get lost. I'm like, well, how do I actually do it? What am I supposed to do? So hopefully that helps. And always happy to help people when they're trying to figure out a process and a framework to getting to success.
Well, if one of our listeners wanted to reach out, pick your brain a little bit more, and listeners, if you're new to the show, Candice is a tremendous resource. I know you're active on LinkedIn, but how
Mm-hmm.
can they best get a hold of you?
Yeah, I mean, really, most of the social platforms I'm on. So Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or X, I guess now. I keep forgetting the updated terms for that. But most you can find it's Candice Fabry, and it's Candice with an I, or Fearless Capable. So the and is usually not included on the tags for social, but it's Fearless Capable. Always can, DM me, message me, or feel free to send me an email at candice@fearlessandcapable.com. And absolutely. We'll set up a Zoom call. We'll get on the phone. We'll chat a little bit about what you're looking to do, and maybe where there's some mentoring or support we can give, and really try to just help you grow, even if it's 1%. It's all about a little bit of growth being things we want to celebrate.
Yep, absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
thanks again for sharing with our listeners. All the best as we wrap up 2023 and 2024. I know your house is busy. You got soccer tournaments. You got everything going on. But
Yeah.
thanks for everything you do for us.
Absolutely. I appreciate the time.
For listeners, we do this every Wednesday, and we also upload the Zoom recordings to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. Of course, we appreciate you listening. Hope everybody has a great holiday season, and we'll see you next time on Wednesday Wisdom on the Educational AD Podcast. Once again, that's Candice Fabry. Her organization is Fearless and Capable. She's also the head women's soccer coach at Ottawa University, and that's in Ottawa, Kansas. Before we go, we do want to once again acknowledge our sponsors. You can see them if you're watching this on YouTube, but if you're listening to it, we want to thank Huddle. That's huddle.com. I used it as a football coach, as an AD. We were a Huddle school. Hometown Ticketing is the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. Go to hometownticketing.com. Snap Raise is hands down the best online fundraising platform out there. Go to snapraise.com/EDAD. Vital Signs Wall of Fame is a great way for you to show off your school record boards in a digital way, your school's Hall of Fame, or simply tell your school's diverse history, and most compelling stories. VitalSignsWallOfFame.com. We want to say thanks to Gipper. Gipper's the official social media graphics solution for us. Go to Gipper.com, mention the podcast, you'll get a nice discount. Home Campus. As an AD, I used Home Campus every single day, whether it was scheduling, student athlete eligibility and clearance, or anything to do with athletic administration. Home Campus, can help you out. Go to homecampus.com. Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. You've heard me say before, probably one of the best purchases I ever made was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and schedule a live web demo. And finally, Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack. If you haven't used a survey to take the pulse of your parents or your student athletes, you're really missing the boat. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey just for your school. That's athleticsurveys.com. Thanks again for listening to Wednesday Wisdom. We'll see you just about every day on the Educational AD Podcast.